Good morning, guys. This is Ray from Next Forex Trades. Today is Thursday, the 15th of August 2019. So let's kick off. Let me just bring up my charts here. So since yesterday, what's happened since yesterday? So there are two trades that I had on. There was the GBP NZD, which you see I've been I've taken out a break even here, just over break even. And I currently have in the AUD USD. I added to that position, so I scaled in. It is running currently at a loss, but it's nothing to be worried about just yet. I'll cover that a bit later. So first I'm going to kick off just with my exit on the GBP NZD, just to explain why I did that, and also to look at some of the potential opportunity in this. So with the pound against the New Zealand dollar, we can see we're still quite bearish. Well, I'm still quite bearish on this based on what our daily time frame is doing. We still got these nice lower highs and lower lows in this price action. It's currently retraced, as you can see here. It's on the 4-hourly, but I did decide to exit this trade. Now, this decision was partly because of the price action, and partly as well because of the other position I had in as well. So the issue with the trades that I had in on the AUD USD alongside this is that, as I mentioned yesterday, these currencies are currently they are negatively correlated, which means that as one moves up, the other one moves down. So that isn't a problem. That wasn't a problem. I was aware of what was going on with that, but the point was because I was short on both of them, because you can see this was a sell on the GBP NZD, and these are both sells as well. And if they're negatively correlated and they're supposed to move opposite ways from each other, I've effectively netted the position by going short in both currencies, right? So I'm not really making any progress if I had let them run out for the course of the trade, which is not what I want to do. I want to, obviously make a return over time. So part of my reason for closing out the GBP NZD was the fact that I just wanted to be focused on one pair and have a bias, if you like, a directional bias for the trade. The other reason, which is probably more important, is the actual price action. It wasn't going as I wanted to, which I'll get into now. So basically, we do have some clear bearishness on this, like I said, and the problem with this at the moment is what it's doing for me, mainly on the 4-hourly. You can see if we zoom in, although we've got the nice downward move with the standard deviation channel around it, so this is exactly what we're seeing on the daily, this move here. This retrace that would be on the daily, when we translate this to what it's doing on the 4-hourly, it's not great, because we're seeing these higher lows, arguably higher highs as well, and it's inside. Delete this as well, just so I can focus on it. And it's inside of this standard deviation channel. Of course, it has kind of gone to an extreme in this move here, but roughly we can capture the price in this move here. So what I want the price to do before I consider shorting this is to just break out of this support. We can see, even if we use a bog standard trend line, connect these lows here, we can see the price has been finding support there. And in fact, it's almost like a symmetrical wedge, if you like, that the price has moved within. So it's kind of finding resistance up here and support along here. So typically what can happen is it breaks lower, and that's in fact quite like in telling the same narrative that our daily saying as well, because in our daily we've seen this bigger move, bigger linear standard deviation channel around the price, and you can see it's interacted with it here. It's finding resistance there, And when we translate that to the smaller time frame, we're looking at you know, a wedge come into place as well. So these are clues that the price could move lower, and we could see a break of this support to move you know, much lower. And definitely looking at the daily, the scope for this to the downside is pretty good, because if we can get an entry here, you know, a stop loss above these type of highs here, blow that up, stop loss above these type of highs here, yeah, which we're assuming is the lower high, because this is a bit too far up here. It's just a bit of an anomaly, that candle. So stop loss above these kind of levels would mean, you know, we've got a reasonably good stop loss, because it's outside of the potential you know, resistance that we'd find from the standard deviation channel. Also the horizontal resistance as well that would be in there from these previous highs. You can see it's zonal around here, right, these previous highs. So it's a good reference point to have our stop above there, and going for one, it would mean our take profits are around here, around the average of our standard deviation channel. So going beyond that for, you know, 2 to 1s, 3 to 1s, this is really the problem area where you'd be thinking at least take some or all of the profits off the table. So that stacks up as a trade, you know, viably in the 2 to 1, 3 to 1 reward to risk, but it's really a case of it breaking that that wedge, that, you know, support that we're seeing first of all. You could aggressively, obviously you could just aggressively enter this before it breaks, but I personally prefer to see a confirmation in the break first of all, and for that to be echoed in the lower time frames. The lower time frames are looking okay at the moment, because we're seeing this bearishness. It moves starting to move down with lower highs, lower lows, but I want it to be telling that story first of all on the 4 hourly before considering this. But to be honest, I'll have to see how that plays out, because we are on Thursday, which only gives one more trading day before market close out tomorrow, and I am already in this position as well. So I'm not sure whether I personally would be taking that position, but that's how that one is panning out. Let's just have a look at AUD USD, which is the other position I'm in. So I did decide to scale into this, so I've taken additional position to the short side on the hourly. Let's just find out whereabouts that would have been. I think it was around this candle. The wrong one here. So this one, 1914. Yeah, so I shorted it around about this point here. Sold into a bit of support. The price action has changed, because when I'd seen that, the price was still moving. It was like that. So I was deeming this move here is what I wanted to see. It's kind of reversed around, so it's not looking so great on these lower time frames in terms of what I want the price to do, but there's still enough context on the daily to hold these positions to the short side, because the daily and the 4 hourly, let's get rid of that fib, the daily and the 4 hourly is still kind of doing what I need them to do. This daily we can see is within our standard deviation channel. These highs just underneath where my stop loss are. It's had some trouble kind of moving past higher than that level. So I mean, I'm happy with my stop loss above there. If we look also to the 4 hourly, sorry, these charts are starting to look a bit messy. Don't like to have too many things on there that are distracting, so let me just delete those and put on what's important. So the 4 hourly as well, we can see this move. So really the time to be considering taking these to break even, I would say, is if the price starts to kind of attack this upper standard deviation more. So if it starts to pierce it without any reversal candles or anything, then I'd be considering moving my take profits to break even, because that would show me that the price action just isn't doing what I'd like it to do. And that's pretty much, if you watch through these videos, it's not me really saying, although I say what I want the price action to do, it's not me kind of dictating to the market what it should do. It's more me reacting to the price. The price is telling me how to enter and how to exit. So I'm looking for the price action in terms of the low time frames to be, in this instance, showing lower lows and lower highs. And if it's not doing that, then the price action it's not the picture that I need it to paint. And if that's the case, then even if I'm wrong overall, or lose money overall, even leave money on the table, I'm fine with that, because it's just managing the risk in terms of just wanting the market to do something and only staying in when it's doing what I need it to do. If it starts acting adversely, then there's no point me being in a trade anymore, because I'm just hoping rather than having an actual strategy based around a trade. So yeah, try not to hope. In fact, don't hope for positions to go your way, because 9 times out of 10 it's not going to happen, and it's not a good way to trade. You're just going to lose money in a long time, and you're just gambling. So having a strategy which is based on, however you do it, whether it's just fixed stop losses and profit targets that you go for, or something similar to what I'm doing, using price action to help dictate how you manage a trade. Trade whatever way suits you, but just make sure hope isn't a part of that, because hope will let you down in this. So it's a harsh truth, but it's really, you've got to treat it as much like a business. Really, stop hoping and just start trading. So here, that's the trade that we've got on AUD/USD. One thing to bear in mind, I did mention this I think last week, the ATR is one of the indicators, probably the only indicator I really use on the daily, and it's not really for a massive amount of information. It's just to tell me how achievable a profit target is, how volatile a pair is. And we can see in recent weeks, or recent days, recent couple of weeks, the ATR, so the average true range on this pair, has increased quite significantly from back here when we were looking at the end of July, when it was around about, so I'm looking at this value on the right. It's going to be quite small on the screen, so let me boost that up. So here, so the 29th or 30th of April, we were looking at the average true range, so the average high to low that the price would make on a day was about 40 pips. So I'm just reading that value off from the right hand side. You can see that 0.0040 means 40 pips. Now on today's current candle, it's increased to just it's 0.0059, so about 20 pips increase on average the price is made. So this is just something to keep an eye on, because going back to the what I was saying about take profits and letting the market dictate as well, if you've got a strategy that is based on fixed amounts of pips, so your strategy is saying, oh, I'm going for 10 pips here, or 50 pips here, or 20 pips here, you need to just pay attention to how achievable or how likely that's going to be in the currency that you're trading. We can see here the way that this ATR has increased. It's almost like the personality of this currency pair has changed from being quite relatively smaller range to increasing to by 50% in terms of how much it would do on a range on a day. So if your strategy is based around just taking an amount of pips out of the market, you need to be aware how the personality or the characteristics of a currency can change over time. So you need to either adapt your strategy or you need to have something that factors in those changes. Or if you trade in a discretionary way like I'm doing here, then it's not so much of an issue because you're looking more the price action to dictate how to trade things. So the ATR isn't as big a factor, but yeah, these are just all things that you should really take into consideration when you're building your strategy or applying a strategy, or if you pay for a strategy from someone. Just those are the things that you need to ask questions about and really test out. So yeah, I'll come back to this trade tomorrow and just dig into how that planned out. And I think rather than go through everything, let me just see what in fact, yeah, I'm going to go through everything and just give a quick yes or no in terms of whether it's tradable or not. So AUD CAD, no, not in the moment. 2 oversold, no. Already in this. Bear with me. I can't remember if I talked about this. So this is the other trade here. I literally cannot remember if we've gone over this yet. I think we have. But in any case, these are the I don't think I talked about the take profits. So this is a trade on the AUD/USD that I'm in, and yeah, I did. So these are my predictive stops above here. I didn't talk about the profit target. So these are my 2 profit targets. So this actually goes, I did scale into this, and this goes beyond the actual 1-to-1 because there is potential and scope beyond that. In fact, what I'll do, I'll leave that for another day. So if this starts to pan out and go into profit, I'll explain how I'm managing the take profits on these, rather than just talking in conjecture, because it hasn't happened as yet. So it's easier to talk when it's nearer to that happening. But so this is a CAD Swissy. No, not tradable at the moment. No. Maybe, but it probably take a while to come to play. I'm just looking at how rangy this is. I talked about this yesterday, I believe. This is definitely bearish. I'm just looking at the rangy movement of these, the way this comes down in each lower high and lower low. You can see each cycle, if you like, so cycle being the extension and the way it pulls back, is quite rangy. It takes several days for that to materialize. Excuse me. It takes several days for each of the cycles to materialize, which means that, yeah, definitely they're bearish on this overall. But it could take several days for that money to materialize. And Swissy JPY, you'll be paying a swap on this, which would be, there it is, okay. 1 point. I mean, the swap isn't too bad, but it's still not a position I'd like to be holding for a long period of time. On the short side, incurring those swaps, money could be put to use in other trades much better. It's the what I'm talking about here is go back to that one briefly. It's the velocity of the return as well. So how quickly your money's going to come back to you. Given the option, if there's this type of very rangy type of movement, or something that's just in a clear downtrend with nice long extensions and pullbacks, I'd be in the latter rather than this one, because the your money will just be tied up in this. Could take a long time to come back to you to get that return, or lose it, either. So it's just my way of thinking is just go for what's obvious and has a decent chance of happening within a few days rather than weeks or months. This one is a no, but this looks like it's hit coming into these. Why is that line in there? I think that was quite significant support. No. But yeah, this is trend trading, so no, that would not be something that I want to short just yet. No. Euro. Okay. Oh, finally, it's broken that. Euro. As I talked about in several of the videos, one of the things I was looking for it to break this support, which it finally done. And yeah, I could see a potential entry on this maybe in the coming hours. So looking at this downward movement here, lower lows, lower highs, got the standard deviation around it. It's interacted with the upper edge, showing it's overbought with a likelihood of moving down towards the average, which is almost that, or even down to this lower edge here. So the 4 hourly started to break structure eventually. We can see this, basically this move here is oh no, yeah, it's the same move. It's the same move I've captured there on the daily. But what I'm looking at now, so what I'd anticipate is, now that it's broken that support, it's probably going to come back up and find resistance off of it. If it does, it would be a good sign. So either off of this level here, the support that it broke, or perhaps these levels here. So if you see reversal candles off of here or here, and the price move past the low again, that would be good. Ideally, wouldn't see that in, I would say, of the two levels, probably the average here would be better, and I'll tell you why. Let's delete this. Oh, come on. It's about here. Just going to put an alert in so I can see the level across the board. The reason I've got a preference for seeing reversals on the 4 hourly at this level is, firstly, because it's quite a significant area of support that it broke. Secondly, it's also the moving average, or not the moving average, the average of the standard deviation. So seeing this would be two things that kind of would be apparent on our time frames, right? Thirdly, it would also be a level that coincides with a standard deviation channel that has context on our 1 hourly. So this price movement here is basically this move here on the 4 hourly, right? So seeing a reversal candle off of this type of level on the hourly, or even it would be, so this red line, if you can see this red dot line here, red dotted line, is basically this same level, right? So there'd be multiple confirming things if the price were to test this level. So what I'd be looking for is for it to test this and then show a reversal candle and then move past the low, giving the entry. Now, a tricky thing with this is stop loss placement, because typically I would say have it above the lower high based on the daily, but that would just be too wide a stop. It's just all the way up here from the entry, so that's just too wide for me. I mean, you could do that, but I'd be thinking a tighter stop in this instance. Maybe the aggressive trade here, so above those highs, would be okay. But my preference would be this one, this lower high here, because it still gives good value for money in terms of the price potentially moving for a 1-for-1, and it also gives a little bit of wiggle room if the price does start to move adversely against me. So if I have the stop loss here, it would mean if the price did start to make higher highs, then I'd be stopped out. You know, I mean, although it's a bigger position, so each pip that the price moves down would be more, there's just not as much insurance, if you like, as having it above these levels here. Because if the price did start to take out these lower highs, there's a good likelihood it's going to pull back and find support before moving higher. So that would mean if I start to see those highs getting taken out, I can move my take profit to break even and just preserve my capital. So that's why I would suggest having a stop above this level rather than this level. But yeah, I mean, in the coming hours, this going into the European session open, this could be a trade to take. So it's just gone 6 UK time here, 6 a.m. So we need what? So probably about so we'd need another candle to form and then a reversal candle, which would mean, yeah, about 8 a.m. So that's the UK open. Be looking at this, and for moves past the low of it, so between 8 and 9. So we'll see how that pans out. I may or may not take that position. So let's just look at some other stuff. No. Maybe. Oh yeah, we already looked at this. Euro NZD. No. Oh god, pound against the dollar is just. Whew. Oh god. There's nothing really tradable for me there. I mean, but yeah, being in the UK, a pound is just getting a hammering. NZD CAD, no. Bitcoin looks like it's finding support. We'll need the candle to finish, obviously, but this, just looking at the daily, wait for this candle, today's candle here, to close, but it's interacting with our standard deviation channel here. So if the price closes something similar to what we're seeing now, this level, or just any other significant level, then yeah, into next week. So if this is a whole lot of conjecture here, but if this price here finds support here today by close of market today, and what tomorrow's candle, Friday's candle again fails to move much lower, and in fact if we see a nice reversal type candle, then into next week, seeing prices move past the high of that, especially looking at the lower time frames to time it, if these start moving upwards in higher highs and higher lows, that could be a decent entry signal for Bitcoin, but we'll have to look at that more when it happens. Yeah, that's it for today. That's been quite a long session today, but I will get back tomorrow with updates. If you've got any questions about what I'm saying here, feel free to leave any comments below, and I'll be happy to get back to those. But I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.